Hello and welcome back to episode 18 of The Forgotten City. I'm Vic and you're watching yet another Let's Play channel. So, I just sent Galerius off to do his usual thing. Not that I think that matters much at this point. But we have, I think, two things that we could do. That we're going to do. And the first is to talk to Aquisha about getting some help from the gods again. I'm thinking that maybe now that I've got Proserpina's crown, she may have something more interesting to say. And after that, we can go and find the hermit philosopher and see if he can teach us how to out-ethics God. Because I'm sure that that'll go over well. And then I'm hoping that will give us
whatever's in that great temple up there on the bluff. I bet
one or even two methods that we can use to get that fourth ending. And maybe only one of them is actually going to work out. Or maybe we need to have all of those tools at our disposal in order to make it work. So here we go. Oh, there goes the temple. Alright. So much for that. I mean, we'll be back to that in just a minute. But I suppose I could have prepped for this a little bit better. So he's going to chat with Rufius. And then, what business does he even have with Aquisha? I don't think he has any, does he? It's not like I was paying attention when I gave him all the errands this go around. The obelisk is still growing. That's glowing. That's interesting. I wonder if anybody has anything interesting to say about that. Given that that's the case, first of all, why isn't everybody going into the temple? And second of all, why doesn't Hades know that something is afoot? He ought to be aware of the loop, right? And speaking of people being aware of the loop, it's interesting, isn't it, that Sentius somehow became aware of the loop, but Hades didn't? Hades is my favorite of his names, so that's just what we're going to call him. I just think Pluto sounds silly. Is she still in her house? Oh, that's why she's involved, is because Domitius has got to go talk to him.
Are you out of your mind, farm boy?
Domitius, that's enough.
What? You're not going to listen to this dolt, are you?
Galerius, all right, I'll withdraw, and Ulpius and Julia are free. I trust our business is concluded.
Yes, that ought to do it. I guess I'll go and tell Ulpius the good news then.
What do you have to say about that, Domitius? Nothing? Gonna stand around in your goofy helmet anyway, though? Why not? Can I talk to her now? Is that subtitle going to be stuck there? Oh, come on.
That's quite an impressive bow you have there. Just like Diana's.
Oh, do you like my bow? Would you like to touch it? I could let you touch it. Nobody would see. It's all right. Come on. Ugh. Are you going on your errand to talk to Aquisha now? No? Maybe that doesn't happen when we do it this way. How are you? You all done? He is not done. It's nice that I can send him off to take care of all that stuff, but It might be slightly nicer if it just kind of magically happened before I could get into town. I know, I'm just being entitled at this point. Don't mind me. But, like, what else would I be doing while I wait for this? I could go down there and collect some more money that I don't need. Oh, now he's going to send Amiscius off.
Sir? Are you under duress, sir?
Change of heart.
But you were on track to be magistrate, sir. All that work, all that money, wasted.
Those are my orders. Carry them out.
As you wish, sir.
Off you go. Dude is pretty jacked. I mean, not jacked enough to be able to handle an arrow from Diana's bow, but pretty jacked.
Priestess, Malleolus has decided to withdraw from the election.
Oh, well, that's surprising. But thank you for telling me. I'll let everyone know.
And she still won't talk to me because she's got to walk up here and then speak in a normal voice.
Citizens, I have an announcement. Malleolus has withdrawn his candidacy from today's election. Unless any new challengers are nominated by nightfall, Sentius will be re-elected magistrate by default.
Actually, I'd like to nominate myself, if that's all right.
Of course, Galerius. That's your right. Citizens, the election will proceed.
Salve again, friend. I went and did as you asked, and it worked. How is it possible that you've just arrived here and you already know everyone and exactly what's about to happen to them?
It's a very long story, and I'm busy right now.
Of course. I'll leave you to it then.
Thanks. You're a pal. Where did that woman go? She was right there. Where did she go? How come?
That's quite an impressive bow you have there.
She's
Hey,
cheating.
Faith. Ave and may Veth.
I found my way into the Great Temple.
You did? I'm impressed. What did you find in there?
Well, spoilers, but it's a Roman temple that leads to a Greek temple that leads to an Egyptian temple that leads to a Sumerian temple that leads to the god of the underworld.
Wait, what? Sumerian? As in east of the Euphrates, where Babylon is? Let me see if I understand you. Our ancestors built over the Greeks' temple, copied their religion, and changed their god's name from Hades to Pluto. But the Greeks had done much the same thing to the Egyptians, and the Egyptians had done the same things to the Sumerians before them. If that's true, then I've spent my whole life serving a goddess who may well have been a copy of a copy of a copy. It's no wonder I never felt like my prayers to Vesta were answered. All that time, who was I even talking to? Did I even know her name?
The god within the temple is the last one. The rest were here once, but they've moved on.
I see. That is a lot to take in. I think I would like to be alone now, if you don't mind.
Damn it, you were supposed to help me talk to Proserpina. Come on.
Ave again.
Escaping the underworld. Livia was right.
Let's read her, Sisyph, and so it...
Tell me more about escaping with the help of Proserpina.
As I mentioned, both Orpheus and Sisyphus were said to have persuaded Proserpina to help them escape, and Aeneas was guided to the exit. The problem is, those are the stories. First, Proserpina. It's...
That's horrible.
It is. If the
I hear the statues whispering to me.
then it can you
Alright, come on.
tell me? Has she told you it
I've already found a way to escape.
truly?
Because that path will result in the deaths of nearly everyone here, and I don't want that.
Ah, I see. Then it seems you have made a great sacrifice for all of us, friend. I admire your compassion. Truly. Thank you. But unfortunately, I'm afraid your only other option will be to confront, you know...
Voldemort. Come on. What?
May Fortuna guide you.
Of all the people
Although
that
you
I ought to
may
be able
not
to show
know for certain
Proserpina's
I'm
crown
on your
to,
side.
it's this one. Alright, Philosopher then. Which one is his? It's the one next to the Folly Downy one. Yeah. So, considering that this entire space is in fact housed on an alien spaceship, Hades has to know about this cave. He can't not know about it. So why is he letting the Philosopher just hang out down here? Because he is letting him. I mean, yeah, he doesn't have visibility down here because he doesn't have the statues, but like, he literally built this place. And he has to know about the... Yeah, he has to know about it because the other underworld buildings are down here too. Hey, you.
Come and join me by the welcome, welcome. May I ask your name?
We've had this conversation before. You're going to explain that the exertion of power required to create utopia will always result in tyranny.
I was indeed. But we've never met before, have we? I'm sure I would have remembered. Blessed Lissa, am I losing my memory?
I'm caught in a time loop.
Oh, that's a relief. For a moment, I thought it was I who was touched by madness.
How would you persuade the god of the underworld to abolish the Golden Rule?
I assume you're asking me this as some kind of amusing hypothetical?
No, I met him, but I wasn't able to persuade him. I want to try again.
Extraordinary. Then let me see if I can help you. I suppose first I'd want to gather information. I'd want to know about his reasons for imposing the Golden Rule and what he considers a sin. If I could expose some internal inconsistency in his reasoning, some degree of hypocrisy, I might be able to compel him to change his position. But as a philosopher, the saddest truth I ever learned is that all but the most enlightened opponents are more easily swayed by appeals to emotion than by reason. So the easiest path would be to find his emotional susceptibility and exploit it. If he was vain, I might try to flatter him. If he was merciful, I would try to evoke pity. As a last resort, I might figure out what he fears losing above all else, and, if I could, threaten to take it away. Though, of course, that could easily go awry. Now, go quickly while my words are still fresh in your memory.
Okay, so I was planning to accuse this man of not having ever talked to anyone on the internet, after that silly little comment about finding a internal inconsistency and accusing him of hypocrisy, because we all know that doesn't work. But then he made a much more realistic comment about appeals to emotion. So let's see what this has to say. A Greek plaque that says the same thing as the Latin ones. Okay. Why do I have Proserpina's crown? Can I put it on? It doesn't seem that I can put it on. So, I noticed that I still had the key to the chest in the Shrine of Apollo. Oh, I was going to accuse the woman who's taken over doctoring in there of deliberately avoiding knowing what was in the chest, but I didn't take that key from her room. I took it from... Come on, what are you doing here? I took it from the crazy one's room. So never mind. No problems there. Am I really just going to go back in and try this again without figuring out what to do with the crown? Yes. Yes, I am. I feel like that's a weakness in the story, though. I should have been able to take that to the priestess and learn something useful. Or, You know, the other thing that still bugs me is that I haven't gone back and done this thing another way. But I don't think that takes us anywhere. It might be kind of interesting, like, if I could put the crown on one of the statues and then Proserpina would be there and then she and I would go and confront Hades together. I don't think that's an option. I will talk to you in a few minutes, Danielle. I'm busy just now. Yeah, we'll see what the Christians have to say about the obelisk. And then we'll head on in, I guess.
I hope you're coping.
Coping? What would I be coping with? I guess I'm coping with not being able to do anything with Proserpina's crown. Also, what the hell is going on here? I thought that was going to be a back way out of the temple, but in light of what I've found inside the temple, I have no idea what's in there or how to unlock it. That's a weird little detail, isn't it? Where did she go? Fine. I don't care what the Christians think anyway. How can we pass the test if we don't know the rules? Indeed. Alright, people. Don't nobody shoot at me until I piss off God. That's the rules. Also, loading screen. Right, so the thing here is that I speak the names of the relevant gods. So it's Pluto, because Roman god. And then, what? It's Hades, because Greek god? Yeah. And then Osiris, because Egyptian god. And then Nergal. I did kind of enjoy the idea that I had to speak all four names and they were each, you know, knocks on the door and then the door opened, but this works for me too. And here we are again. I believe it's actually spinning. I think we're looking at the Americas right now. Who cares?
And here you are. Allow me to introduce myself.
Mm-hmm.
No girl, but the one
Yeah.
there will be first. As a
See this? It's Proserpina's crown.
I would recognize that anywhere. And yet my beloved still wears hers. What is this? How did you come by it?
Well, see, That's because I've given you another name, which is Dormammu. And, now you know that timeline.
You vile, despicable creature. Why would you do such a thing? And worse still, boast about it.
I didn't want to kill her, but if you don't put an end to the Golden Rule, I will do it again.
You have put me in an impossible position. If I refuse, you will murder her. And yet, if I agree, I will lose my wager and return to Elysium humiliated and alone.
Yeah, and so now he faces the moral choice, right? Is he going to needlessly inflict a cruel punishment on these insects? Or is he going to accept defeat and leave? Well, what's it going to be?
I do not see that I have a choice in this. Your treachery and savagery have opened my eyes like nothing I have witnessed in 3,000 years. And now you have shown me your species' true colors. And I see that Persephone was a fool to have ever believed in you at all. This has gone on too long. It is time for me to let go of this form, of her, of all of you. But know this. If I abandon the wager and leave for Elysium, neither she nor your kind may ever ascend.
We just want to return to the world.
Very well. I will have Charon make arrangements to ferry the others. But as for you, be aware you will be separated from the rest.
Why?
Once this exodus begins, the events that brought you to this moment will never have taken place, and you will have created a paradox. What will become of you is difficult to predict, but that is the risk you have taken by interfering in the natural flow of time. Now, are you ready?
Do it.
You had best pray our paths never cross again, mortal.
I got an achievement named Psycho. And that's the thing about arguing with people on the internet is, like, they're just words on a screen. They can't do anything to you. I, on the other hand. Things are a little different this time, I think.
Oh. Hi there. Gave me a bit of a fright.
Yeah.
I was in here.
I came in here to find you.
Oh, you're
I'm Vic, and I was hoping you'd know who I am.
who you are. Oh, did that lady in the forest send you in here after me? I guess I lost track of time, learning about the history of this place, and it is extraordinary. I'm fairly certain you and I are the first people to set foot in this city for about 2,000 years. Fortunately for us, the last person in here was a Roman man named Galerius, who inscribed an account into a tablet. Apparently, there was a community of 20-something people trapped in here, and living in fear of a curse they called the Golden Rule. They believed that if even one person sinned, an unknown god would cast them all into gold, like the 1,000 people who'd lived here before them. Then, one day, just as Galerius had finished praying for a good harvest at the shrine of Proserpina, an oracle appeared and told him how to solve the ills of the city, like saving the life of a dying woman, preventing the suicide of a man in debt bondage, freeing a falsely accused prisoner, foiling an assassination attempt, and so on. Meanwhile, the oracle walked up to the temple of the mysterious god, this one right here, and demanded an audience, and the doors just opened up to him. Nobody knows what went on in there, but Galerius wrote the oracle must have been more persuasive than Odysseus, because the next thing he knew, the ground shook and the voice of that god rang out over the city. The many have suffered long enough. Unfortunately, Galerius' account just sort of stops after that, leaving a lot of questions unanswered. What became of him and the other people who lived here? What happened to all the golden statues? And did this mysterious oracle single-handedly undo the curse that had terrorized people for hundreds of years?
Thousands of years, actually, Al. 3 millennia. Actually, that was me.
What? Oh, I see. For a moment there, I thought you were serious. Anyway, I think I found a way out through the aqueduct that brought water into the city. Follow me.
I'm right behind you. Are we going to walk it, or are we just going to fade out? I occasionally wish that I had turned off the crosshair, but most of the time, I prefer to have had it. It does kind of screw up some of my screenshots sometimes, though. Alright. And the sun is out. And this is a lovely little river. You okay?
I'm gonna pause here for a moment and make sure nobody else has ever lured into this temple.
Why, though?
You go on ahead. I'll be there soon.
There's no reason. Alright, let's see what Charon has to say this go-around. I do wonder if it plays out differently if I convince him instead of threatening him, but I don't think we're going to do it again just for that.
You're back. But... why don't you tell me what you just...
Let's go with the true name route.
Ah, I see. I thought you might. Well, now you know. I suppose you have questions.
Who are you, really?
You can just call me Charon, if you like. I do not enjoy deceiving people. That most people...
Can I not confront her about being an alien? What truth is that?
That you died, of course. My role, as the...
How did I die?
Most ask...
I suppose not.
A wise decision.
What's so special about these coins?
Perhaps you have heard the... Well,
I have. Why?
That is a question you would have to ask him. If that were still possible. In light of the path you have chosen. I am just his servant, doing his bidding. Only now, I find myself bereft. There is nobody else to face.
Can you return us to the land of the living?
I see no point in keeping you here. But I have to ask one thing. That you keep this to yourself.
Look! Here comes Al now. Al! It's so good to see you. You were gone so long I thought I'd never see you again.
Kinda lost track of time in there. You wouldn't believe what we've... And there was a tablet describing an oracle who confronted a god and undid an ancient curse.
Sounds like quite a story. And I look forward to hearing all about it. But... you two look exhausted. Why don't you hop in my boat and rest while I... ferry you back to civilization?
Sounds good to me.
And you? Are you ready to go home?
Sure am. And so? Oh. Don't look. So I guess this is the true ending.
Hey, you made it. It's great to see you again. I read your book, and what the critics said about it. I guess they weren't ready for your theories about the underworld. Anyway, after everything you've been through, I thought you might appreciate some good news. So after we got back to the real world, I started doing some research into the people mentioned in Galerius' tablet, and I found something strange. I'm sorry I've been so cryptic. I've been dying to tell you, I just really wanted you to see this for yourself. Why don't you head on down there? I'll catch up with you at the other end.
So, don't tell me that I wrote a book and actually published the idea that the gods were aliens, and that I, certainly hope that I didn't say that I confronted them. Wait a minute.
You're finally here. Remember me?
Galerius, what are you doing here?
It's a crazy story. After you disappeared, Charon appeared and told us she was returning us to the world. even gave us some coins to help us start our lives over. Only, for some reason, she returned us to your world instead of ours. Anyway, I know we only ever had that one conversation, and I wasn't even sure if you'd remember me, but I wanted to say thanks for freeing us from the underworld and giving us a second chance at life.
And what are you doing with yourself these days?
Oh, I used Charon's gift to buy a farm in Umbria. Got a villa on it too, with enough room for Dooley, of course. It's hard work, but I sleep soundly every night. I'm finally my own man, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
And you're with Aquisha now?
I know! I can't believe my luck either. But we're engaged and living together. We're planning to get married next spring. If you're gonna be around, we'd love to see you there.
Count me in. It was good to see you again.
Of course. There's a whole museum full of people waiting for a chance to thank you. So you'd better keep moving. We'll speak again soon, my friend.
You're here. It's so wonderful to see you again.
Good to see you too.
So, you're the hero who somehow vanquished the last of the Roman gods. As I'm a priestess, you realize you've put me out of work. I'm just teasing. Actually, and it still feels a little sacrilegious to say this, I'm finding life after religion quite enjoyable.
Good for you. And what are you doing with yourself these days?
Galerius and I are engaged and expecting. We've just bought a lovely villa in the countryside, with room for a large family, and Dooley too, of course. It feels like the world has just opened up for us. There's so much to learn, and so many more possibilities for our children than we ever imagined. We're just so thankful for what you did for us. For all of us.
How's Livia?
Oh, it's sweet of you to ask. She recovered nicely. In fact, she's here somewhere, if you'd like to ask her yourself.
I'll do that. It was good to see you again.
See you at the wedding, I hope.
Oh, hello. Hello, I'm Dooley.
I know.
Galerius said you're very nice and a big helper. Thank you for getting us out of the bad place. I didn't like it.
Can you imagine all these people going around the modern world speaking real live Latin? I love that idea. What are you doing with yourself these days?
I live at Galerius and Equitia's house. They look after me now and help me remember when I forget things, like brushing my teeth.
I'm glad that you guys learned about that. I'm sorry you never found your treasure.
Treasure? Oh, I forgot about that. I like my box now. Galerius got me a box that tells stories. It's my favourite thing.
He got you an Audible box? I'm glad you're happy. It's good to see you again.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I like that.
Hi there, I'm Horatius.
Hi, Horatius.
I understand we have you to thank for giving us a second chance at life, and reuniting Scintilla with us as well. So, thank you.
What are you doing with yourself these days?
I'm living up north, and studying in the military academy in Modena. I'm going to be an officer one day. The world's changed a lot. But some things stay the same. Would you believe we're still studying military tactics from my time? Alexander the Great, Caesar, Hannibal Barca. Still, I have to keep challenging myself to let go of old ways of thinking and embrace the new. As Seneca wrote, the ones who pioneered our paths aren't our masters, but our guides.
Indeed. It's good to see you again.
And you. Farewell.
Hey.
Hey.
I take it you're the Oracle. Thanks for coming.
Good to see you again.
Actually, I changed my name to Cynthia. I didn't want to be associated with Sentius after what happened. I'm not sure if you heard, but after you drove Pluto off, Proserpina emerged from the Great Temple. She knew right away what none of us had figured out about that psychopath. He'd been keeping my little sister locked up in the upper cistern all that time. But he's been dealt with. He's... you know what? The important thing is, we'll never see him again.
Changing your name to Cynthia is a little weak, in my opinion. What are you doing with yourself these days?
Anything I want. I'm a woman of means in a vast new world. I can go wherever and do whatever I please. Of course, I mostly just stay in my villa and have my servant Alexa summon things for me, because it's just awful out there. Barbarians everywhere.
What happened to Sentius?
He's still there, all alone. The last golden statue in the underworld. Trapped in a metal shell, slowly losing his mind until the end of time. Eternal torment. Just what he deserves, if you ask me.
Well, it's what he signed himself up for. It was good to see you again, I guess.
You too. See you around.
One hopes not, to be honest.
You're the Oracle, right?
Vic is fine.
Oh, of course. Sorry. And I never got a chance to thank you for telling Galerius how to save my life. And of course, getting me and all of us out of a terrible situation.
And what are you doing with yourself these days?
Oh, I barely recognize myself. I'm living in a house share in London with my wonderful girlfriend. And I'm studying English at university. Eventually, I want to travel the world and write about it. Turns out, it's about 30 times bigger than the Roman Empire ever was. Did you know there are entire continents Rome never knew existed? And you can travel almost anywhere in an aircraft, which is rather like flying on a Pegasus, but much more comfortable. Oh, sorry, you already know all that, of course. I'm just so excited. There's so much to see and learn and write about.
Seeing the world through fresh eyes sounds wonderful.
I have noticed people from your time have no idea how fortunate they are. I hope to change that. One day.
Whatever happened to Malleolus and Claudia?
Last I heard, Malleolus kept insisting he was the last rightful ruler of the Roman Empire, and wound up being committed to a psychiatric hospital. As for Claudia, she was always so viciously unhappy. Someone said she'd blown all her money on wine, trying to drink herself back to the underworld. After the horrific way they treated Ulpius and me, I can't help feeling a sense of... what's that German word? Schadenfreude?
And what about Ulpius? I thought that you and he were lovers or something. Sounds like they got what was coming to them.
I couldn't agree more.
And Aurelia?
Ugh. Someone told me she was boasting about getting her claws into some rich prince, and how she was going to be living the high life from now on. Even in your time, life still isn't fair. Apparently he'd proposed before they'd even met. And last I heard, she'd bought herself a first-class one-way ticket to join him in some
Dubai.
exotic place called... what was it? Nigeria?
Oh.
Some people have all the luck.
I foresee terrible disappointment in her future.
Really? Huh. I feel better already. Thank you.
It was good to see you again.
You too. If you're ever in London, let me know. We can go to bars and drink wine and listen to the stories of the 9 million people who live there.
I think it would have been fun if she'd referred to it as Londinium. I'll take you up on that.
I hope so.
Lucretia?
You are here. It's nice to finally meet you.
Hey, Lucretia.
Lucy is fine. I'm making an effort to blend in, as you can see. We are all trying to keep a low profile. If the world knew we died 2,000 years ago and were suddenly brought back to life 12 months ago, they'd never leave us alone. Speaking of which, I wanted to say thank you in person. I'd say the gods smile on you, but I hear you drove the last of them off. So...
what are you doing with yourself these days?
I'm studying to get into medical school. As much as I resented the responsibility of keeping everyone in the city alive, when it ended, I realized I missed it. So I guess I'll just keep saving the world, if begrudgingly, one patient at a time.
That's a little sad, I think. It was good to see you.
You too. Don't be a stranger.
Can't nobody be stranger than us. Georgius?
Greetings. You must be the legendary Oracle. It is a sincere privilege to finally make your acquaintance. I am Georgius.
Good to see you too.
I am told we have you to thank for freeing us from Hades, and for that, I am most grateful.
What are you doing with yourself these days?
I am reacquainting myself with Greece. It has changed so much over the last 2,000 years, I barely recognize it. This is at once heartbreaking and thrilling. Perhaps one day, once I have seen all of this new Greece and sampled her delights, I will settle down in Santorini in a villa overlooking the azure Aegean Sea. I hope you will join me there and regale me with the story of how you faced off against the fearsome god of the underworld and won.
Consider me there. It was good to see you again.
You too, my friend.
You're the one we've been waiting for. I'm Fabia.
Do you think this would be different if I had bothered to talk to any of these people on the last time through the loop? Hi, Fabia.
I wanted to say thanks for sending Galerius to save my life. I don't know how you knew, but I would have been crushed by that shrine for sure.
In fact, you were. You're welcome.
I'm just so happy to be here, with you and everyone, together again, even if it's just for one more night.
What are you doing with yourself these days?
Well, it's not like I have to work with all the silver Charon gave me, so I just do what makes me happy. Mostly that means baking for my friends and looking at memes while binging TV shows in yoga pants. What a time to be alive.
Indeed. Sounds like a life well spent.
Oh, it really is.
It was good to see you.
You too.
Even he made it out.
And here you are. It's wonderful to see you again.
Good to see you too.
Oh, and by the way, I go by Philip now. A fine Greek name. I never thought I'd leave that cave, let alone the city. And now I'm living in the 21st century. What a time to be alive. And it seems I have your Catabasis to thank for it.
What are you doing with yourself these days?
I'm working as a consultant to the Faculty of Classics at Cambridge University, helping fill the odd gap in their knowledge. Not that I need the money, but I do love being around enlightened minds again.
Do you still think Utopia is out of reach?
Aha! You remember that? I have to admit, I've been profoundly impressed by the advances humans have made these past 2 millennia. The sum total of human knowledge available at our fingertips, miraculous modern medicines, and a series of prosperous democracies. Your contemporaries have come further toward utopia than I ever thought possible, though there's still a way to go.
Agreed. It was good to see you again.
My sincere thanks once again.
Some soiree, innit?
You remain an asshole.
Oh, hello at last. You must be the Oracle I've heard so much about. I'm Dacius.
Hi.
Listen, I wanted to express my sincere appreciation for what you did. If it wasn't for you, I'd never been able to sell all those useless old relics I accumulated. Whatever you did in that temple made me a very wealthy man. Thank you.
It was entirely unintentional.
Such acerbic wit. I love it.
What are you doing with yourself?
I took the money I made from selling my trinkets and started investing in the stock market. That's where the real money is now. In fact, I was hoping to ask your advice, you being the Oracle and Future Seer and all that, on which stocks I should invest in next. I can't decide between fossil fuels, tobacco, gambling and arms. What would you recommend?
I think you should put it in Bitcoin. Also, I wouldn't help you even if I could.
Oh, don't be like that. You can tell your old pal Dacius. I won't take no for an answer.
DVD rentals.
Oh, of course, yeah. I was just thinking the same thing. go home and buy up as much stock as I can tonight. I'm gonna make a bloody fortune.
I'll be going now.
Of course, don't let me keep you. Thanks again for the tips, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
Good evening.
Oh, it's Libya.
Oh, hello. It's lovely to meet you. I've heard so much about you.
Nice to see you too.
I'm thankful that you're here. I was sure the person who drove off the last pagan god would have more important things to do than visit the likes of us. But thank you for coming and for saving our lives. What you did was extraordinary, and I'll never forget it.
What are you doing with yourself these days?
I'm living in Rome again, in a charming little flat by the Tiber. Not far from my old place. Oh, and I'm training to be a crisis counselor. After you sent Galerius to persuade Ulpius not to take his own life, I was inspired. I just want to spend the rest of my life helping people, like you helped him.
Good on you.
Thank you. That means a lot.
It was good to see you again.
And you. Oh, and I hope this isn't too forward, but some of us are going out for a drink after this, if you'd like to join us.
Sure.
Wonderful. I'll see you soon.
I'm making a lot of commitments here.
Greetings.
Good to see you looking well.
Thank you for your kind words and for liberating us all. In all the time I was in the underworld, I never once imagined that I might end up in a place so much like Elysium.
And what are you doing with yourself these days?
I'm recovering. Octavia was kind enough to let me stay with her for a while. At least until I'm well enough to be independent again.
Read any good poems lately?
Ah, you remember that. I'm a little tired of Ovid, but that's all right. I have 2,000 years worth of poetry to catch up on now. I'm already up to the 19th century, and am quite enjoying the work of a fellow named Poe. I think I may have found a kindred spirit. Men have called me mad, but the question is not yet settled whether madness is or is not the loftiest intelligence.
Yeah, that's fitting for you. It was good to see you again.
And you. Farewell, friend.
Wow, there's a lot of people. Even Kabash made it out.
It is an honor to finally meet you, Oracle.
Thanks.
You know my name? Oh, of course. You are an Oracle. You know many things. I too would like to offer my thanks for releasing us from that place, and for your role in bringing us here. This world is truly wondrous.
What are you doing with yourself these days?
For a time, I returned to Alexandria, but they have no need of another fisherman, and I came to see there is nothing for me there. Instead, I have decided to follow the custom of your youths and backpack the world. It is a great adventure, and I have met many people from many cultures. I spent the first 25 years of my life avoiding the 42 sins that would deny me access to the afterlife. Now, I think it is time I had some fun.
Yeah, make sure to do all the good ones. You've earned it.
Indeed.
It's good to see you again, Kabash.
Thank you, Oracle.
Not that you remember our previous meeting. Oh, look. They reconciled.
Nice.
It's good to see you too, Rufius.
I go by Rufus now. New start, new name. Oh, and thanks, by the way, for what you did. Sorry, I'm no good with the mushy stuff.
And what are you doing with yourself these days?
I live with Virgil in Rotterdam, not far from where he grew up. It's very modern. Destroyed in the war, and it rebuilt itself. Good place for a fresh start. Haven't decided what I'm going to do with my life yet. One adjustment at a time.
Turns out you were right. The statues really were watching us.
Huh. Good to know. Anyway, it was good practice for the new world. Security cameras and smartphones everywhere. Got to stay vigilant.
No kidding. You'll get used to it. It's good to see you again.
You too. Look us up next time you're in the Netherlands. We're grateful.
It's so nice to finally meet you. I've heard so much about you.
Good to see you, Virgil.
I wanted to thank you personally for getting us out of there. And for helping Rufus come to terms with himself. He may come off a little gruff, but once you get past that, he's a lovely fellow.
And what are you doing with yourself these days?
I'm studying to be an architect again, and living with Rufus in our beautiful flat in Rotterdam. Just down the river from Nijmegen, where I grew up. Of course, it's improved immensely since I was there last. Gleaming futuristic buildings and clean streets full of educated, accepting people. You natives of the 21st century have no idea how fortunate you are.
Well, that's life as a fish in water. It's good to see you again, Virgil.
You too. As Rufus said in his own laconic way, if you're ever in the Netherlands, we'd love to show you around. It's the least we could do.
I may just take you up on that. Okay, almost done. We'll start with Ulpius.
It's nice to finally put a face to the name. I'm Ulpius.
Good to see you too.
I understand I have you to thank for sending Galerius to save my life. The way you just showed up out of the blue and stopped me from making a terrible mistake. I'll be forever in your debt.
What are you doing with yourself these days?
I'm living with Gabriella in Umbria. We finally bought the little vineyard we always dreamed of. It'll be a little while before we know what we're doing, but every day I look at her and this extraordinary new world with all its beauty, and I think, what if I'd given up hope and missed out on all of this? So we're living each day to the fullest. And we end them all the same way, sitting together on our terrace with a glass of our wine, which the locals say is almost drinkable now, and watching the sunset over the rolling hillside. And I couldn't be happier.
I'm glad you're happy.
Thank you. I wouldn't be here without you.
It was good to see you.
You too.
And Centilla, who I guess is Gabriella now. Hi.
Oh, I go by Gabriella now. I didn't want to be reminded of that monster every time I heard my own name. After you drove Pluto off, Proserpina came and released me, and that monster got what was coming to him.
Sounds like he got what he was deserved.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing with yourself these days?
I'm living with Ulpius on a little vineyard in Umbria. It's even more wonderful than I dreamed it would be. I'm so grateful to you for making sure he's still with us. If you're ever passing through the region, I hope you'll come and visit us. You can try some of our very own wine.
I might just do that. It's good to see you again.
Thanks. You too.
And now, it's a long walk to Alworth. Do you think there are any relics that are reflective of my... Oh, don't look. Of my presence here? I don't think so. It'd be pretty cool to have that arch, right? Uh-oh, there's Peoples.
There you are. I hope you enjoyed that. Now, there's one more person I wanted to introduce you to. I think you know her.
Oh, it's Proserpina. Cute.
Sorry if I frightened you. Just a little joke I've been saving for a long, long time.
I recognize that voice.
Allow me to introduce myself properly. I am Proserpina, former goddess of the cycle of life and renewal, and now a regular mortal. I wanted to meet you in person, and thank you for freeing all these people, and me. I hate to think what would have happened to us without your intervention.
You were whispering to me all along?
Indeed. Suffice it to say that while Pluto was controlling the eyes and ears of each golden statue, I was able to control their tongues and whisper to you when he was distracted. I am sorry my messages were so cryptic. There were only ever brief windows in which I could speak to you without being detected.
You did what you could? You created the time loop?
I did. I may have given up my immortality, but I still retain my gifts as the goddess of a cycle of life and renewal. After witnessing Pluto punish countless poor souls over thousands of years, I knew this generation, the final wave, would not survive. So I tried to give them a way to buy more time. A second chance. Rather, as many second chances as they needed to avoid his wrath.
What became of him?
I don't know what happened to him. I haven't heard from him, and I rather hope it stays that way.
And Karen?
Oh, she inherited dominion over the underworld. Last time we spoke, she was working on a new world of some kind. She wouldn't say what it was, but I'd be surprised if you don't run into her again. I imagine we all will, one day.
Do you think... Am I supposed to think that was a good thing? It was nice meeting you.
And you, although it feels like I've known you forever. Oh, and one last thing. Do you remember all those golden statues scattered throughout the city?
Of course.
Good, because they remember you. Well done, my friend. Of all the heroes who ever journeyed to the underworld and returned, none came close to achieving what you did. Hercules, Orpheus, Theseus, and Aeneas would be proud.
And I got an achievement named The Canon Ending. I don't think it's appropriate to put a statue of me in those people's company. Well, there we go. That's all 4 endings, and we are done with the Forgotten City. And I was going to say yet another long episode, but it's not another long episode because I cut the other one up. Well, I haven't cut it up yet, but I will. And you will have seen it already. Because time travel. Do you believe me? You don't believe me. So I'm glad that I gave this one my time. Certainly, I had some complaints and I gave them voice when I encountered the right moment. I feel like the philosophical section was probably the weakest. And, I mean, what are you going to do, right? It's a video game, and they have to be able to write a dialogue tree that you can walk through. So they can only offer you so many options. And that's just, not well suited to philosophy. Philosophy is complicated, and nuance is a big deal. So, it being what it was, I can live with it. We did actually find all 4 endings, so there's that. I wonder why they didn't choose to make it a different ending if you persuade Hades instead of threatening him with Proserpina. I suppose they could have just set it up so that, regardless of how good you get at philosophy, you have to attack him the other way. I guess that's sort of what the philosopher told me, which I complained about as we left. It would have been kind of interesting to spend a little bit of time delving into the deeper parts of the ruins and learning more about the people who came before, rather than focusing so much on the Romans. I don't know that it really would have added much to the game, though. I mean, it would have been interesting historically, but I don't know that it was necessary to the story. There's another word that I had, and I lost it. So I think the other day I went and looked at these guys on Steam, and if I recall correctly, they didn't have any other titles out. It'll be interesting to see if these folks choose to do any more, and if they do, I'll probably give it a shot. The ending certainly was very tie it up and put a bow on it. Certainly I don't think it was necessary to reunite us with all of the people from town and tie up their stories. But it feels nice, and I don't know, some people probably might think that it's a little trite, but again, I don't feel like it undermines anything about the story. The bit about all of the other gold statues applauding you from the floor, standing around a statue of you, that might have been a little over the top, but I can forgive it. It's interesting that they chose to have everyone acclimate so well to the modern world. Because I think it's easy to imagine that not happening, right? The amount of technological progress, the amount of social and ethical change and development of 2,000 years is difficult to overstate, I think. And it would be easy to imagine these people finding themselves just completely out of time and out of touch and unable to adapt. There is a concept that ideas change at the pace that people die. Which is to say that, to a certain extent, we are able to move from one way of thinking about the world to another as the people who carry the old way with them die off. And it certainly feels like there is a certain amount of truth to that. But I suppose we can wonder, whether people that are taken out of their environment and forced to confront their own being out of date, whether that might go differently for them. It would be kind of interesting to play a follow-up game that has to do with caring for these people and helping them adapt to the modern world, and explore that concept a little further. Anyway, it looks like we've run out of credits, so I hope I've done these folks justice, and I am kind of reaching for more stuff to say, so why don't we see what happens now? Cool. Alright, well, with that, we're all done with the Forgotten City. Come back and see me again for something different next time. I've got a few things picked out. I don't know which one we're going to do yet. Talk to you soon.